What's your opinion of privatizing Social Security?
I don't agree with privatizing Social Security. And it's interesting. We get to elections, I tell everybody, this is amazing because no matter where you go, you always have a camera. All right? And somebody's always trying to film you. And it's a NASCAR race. Believe it or not, I tell everybody, politics is a NASCAR race. They don't care whether you finish. They send a gentleman in to try and see if you can crash. So, as many times as I could say, over the last 14 months, I do not want to privatize Social Security. They take one little soundbite out of 1,000 sound bites, and they take that soundbite and they project it out and say, Jim Renacci wants to privatize Social Security. And by the way, you've seen commercials now that are running that says Jim Renacci wants to privatize Social Security. That is the furthest from the truth. That's right. They also say I'm a foreign trade lobbyist. Isn't that amazing? Now it's interesting. The Wall Street Journal just contacted my lawyer, who told them Jim Renacci has never lobbied in his life. Never been a lobbyist. But when you own 60 companies, one of my companies was a consulting company that helped jobs in Ohio, and the attorney thought that anybody, because one of the companies had some relationships with Washington, the attorney at the time thought, you know what, I better make sure that everybody inside that business is what they call it, is registered as a lobbyist. Even though I never lobbied in my life, she literally, she told the Wall Street Journal, she literally put everybody as a lobbyist. That company, by the way, never got off the ground. Now think about it. You're getting millions of dollars worth of advertising saying Jim Renacci is a foreign trade lobbyist. Jim Renacci has never lobbied in the public. And Jim Renacci would have no idea what a foreign trade lobbyist is. But that's the kind of stuff that goes on in these elections. And the privatizing of Social Security is the exact same thing. That's why I told you. One thing I've learned in the last 14 months, you can lie in politics. You can take a cameraman and put him in the room and have him film your event, and you can pull one little statement out of that and say, this is what Jim Renacci said. But you've got to take the rest of the context. And that's what's sad about politics now. If there's one thing I have learned over the last 14 months, is that people can lie. They can tell half-truths, which, by the way, my parents taught me a long time. A half-truth is a whole lie. And that's what's happening. Now, my opponent has spent close to $3 million attacking me and my family, as you've seen on the TV. And he'll stand up there and say, because I've seen him now every day for the last 4 days, he'll stand up there and say, well, he's attacking me. Well, that's not true. If you look at my ads, remember the ads that say, I'm Jim Renacci and I approve this message. And then remember the ads that say, I'm John Bolcheri and I approve this message. And take a look at the ones I'm running. You're going to see an ad hit tomorrow that you're going to see what I really believe we need to do. And if I tell you that John Bolcheri voted for cap and trade, that's not an attack, that's the truth. If I tell you that John Bolcheri voted for health care, that's not an attack, that's the truth. But when John Bolcheri says Jim Renacci is a foreign trade lobbyist, that's a lie. And you can look that up and find out that I have never lobbied in my life. In fact, my attorney told the Wall Street Journal, there are forms you fill out that show if you ever lobbied, you'll find out that I've never lobbied in my life. You can get all that information, but you only tell the half-truth. You never have to tell the full story.
One of the things that upsets me or concerns me is that congressmen, they don't live by the same rules and the same systems that we live in. For instance, speaking of Social Security, I've often thought, wouldn't it be good if Congress had the same Social Security system to rely on that we have one instead of the pension plan that they have? I don't think they live in a bubble down there. If your pension is set for life, once you serve a term, you've got a nice pension plan forever in Congress.
It's 5 years.
5 years. After you serve 5 years. I've often thought they would pay more attention to the Social Security system and health care and things if they were on par with the kind of system that the rest of us.
Absolutely. Remember what I said. Remember what I said. We send people to Washington who make legislation who never have to live within it. That's a problem. So absolutely. We need to be able to make sure that when we send somebody to Washington, they understand what it means when they make legislation. And the best way to do that is to be able to live with it. You know, as a healthcare provider, I understand what that healthcare bill does to me. I'm a CPA, I'm a healthcare provider. So when I go and vote for healthcare, I'm going to make sure that I use what I understand and what I'm going to have to live with back here when I make a decision on how I vote. But we send people to Washington that don't have that background, don't have that experience, and quite frankly, you know, they don't put all those pieces together because they don't have to live with it. So I agree with you.
What is your stance on drilling oil here in the United States? Because I personally realized about an unseen fear stopping us from drilling a lot of oil.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that we need a comprehensive energy plan. I'm a firm believer in an all-above energy plan. That's nuclear, solar, wind, and American Electric. And the list goes on. Anything we can do to be comprehensive and independent, I'm all for. So I'm for whatever we can do to be able to tap on American oil resources.
Mine's kind of a two-parter, but what do you think? You know, we hear about election reform and all that. What do you think can be done about these commercials and the lies? And you know, I mean, because it's turning everybody off. Ultimately, I think you don't know what to believe and what do you think there's something to be done for that? And then just last night on Nightline, they showed the FBI going around stinging the state houses and the federal government where people are taking bribes. You know, what can a person, like you said, with good values, how do they make a difference?
Well, it's interesting because, again, I didn't understand this 12 months ago when I got in the election when somebody said to me, when you're winning, remember, if I wasn't in competition with Mr. Bocherry, do you think he'd be spending $3 million attacking me? The problem is when you're winning 12 months ago, somebody said, you will find the ugliest ads will be run against you that you won't believe it. I didn't know what that meant. I'm a business guy. I was a mayor of Wadsworth, but quite frankly, nothing like this. So the first thing I did when they started running the ad that said, Jim Renacci is a tax cheat and a criminal. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. You do that in the business world and see what happens to you. So started looking around and I realized politics is different. Congress has passed legislation that literally allows you to say things like that, and you're okay with it. It's the First Amendment right. So that's an issue. So you got to imagine I was really upset. And the first set of ads that came out was asking me. They said I was a tax cheat and a criminal. Now you can lie, but you can't lie both. And I sued ASME. I don't know how many people realize that, but I have a filed lawsuit against ASME because of that. And if you notice, the ads have softened a little bit. All right, now that suit will be heard sometime because the court system does take a while. That suit will be heard at some point in time. But that's bad. And what I'd like for us to do that, I'll tell you how you fix it. Again, we're all at fault. What happens? You hear? I walked into I was at the Worcester Fest in Worcester, and I walked up to a woman, probably 80 years old, and what's the first thing she calls me? A tax cheat. She doesn't talk to me. I mean, now where did that come from? It came from a commercial. She didn't want to talk to me. That's sad. Do you know how we can fix people that do that? Don't put them back in office. Show them that bad advertising and half-truths we don't agree with, and we're not going to vote you back. Interesting story about Mr. Bocherry. When I first started running a year ago, I had people say to me, John Bocherry's a nice guy. That's going to be your biggest problem. He's a nice guy. He's a likable guy. He's a likable guy. All right? But I had a guy call me 2 Saturdays ago who was a big supporter of his, and this is a true story. And he said, this is at 11 o'clock at night. He had just saw a commercial attacking Jim Renacci that said, and this is John Bocherry, and I approved this message. I got a call 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, boy, what happened 11 o'clock at night? This guy called me and said, Jim, I'm a supporter of John Bocherry's, but not anymore. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to write you a check. Maximum amount. Anybody can write a check for $2,400. He said, I'm going to write you a check for $2,400 because I can't do it. The guy that I used to believe was a nice guy and honorable. I just heard a commercial that ended, and I know you, and I heard a commercial then, and this is John Bucherri, and I approve this message. So we can fix this.